Hey, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we're going to be taking a look at the Mega Construx Masters of the Universe He-Man action figure. So let's go ahead and get this figure free from its plastic prison, take a look and see what we think about He-Man. So here he is, the most powerful toy in the universe, fresh out the box with all of his accessories. Now, if you're not familiar with He-Man, he first made his appearance in 1982 in comic books and toy form, and then went on to be the star of his own animated series that was huge. Then that led to a movie in 1987, a reboot in the early 90s. It's kind of a sequel, continuation of the original cartoon. Then in the early 2000s led to an official reboot, and then that was preceded by more comics as well as a toy line called Masters of the Universe Classics, and that's what's kept He-Man alive so far until now we have this new iteration. And as far as I'm concerned, He-Man was my first love. Masters of the Universe was the first thing that I latched onto as a child, and then that was followed by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so I've been a huge, unapologetic Masters fan since I can remember. And I am super excited to be talking about this figure today. And so speaking of that, let's go ahead and get into it. He-Man comes with some accessories. He comes with his power sword, his shield, and he comes with a stand with his nameplate on it. And yeah, it's a little, just a little display stand, which is pretty neat. And yeah, the power sword looks awesome. It looks just like, how it should, but just, super tiny, as well as the shield. The shield looks great too. The only thing I could have requested would have been if he would have come with his axe as well, but I kind of get it. They want to save some stuff, and this opens them up to releasing potentially a battle armor He-Man that could come with the axe. I think with what we have here is actually really good. The shield is awesome, and the sword is awesome, and there's really not much else you need for He-Man except for the axe. So, like I said, so He-Man stands at about 2 inches tall, and having said that, let's go ahead and take a look and see how he measures up to some other figures you might have in your collection. So here he is next to the Tomy Chikorita and Charmander figures. Here he is next to the Loyal Subjects White Ranger and Lord Zed figures. Here he is next to the Lego minifigure Hot Dog Guy and Killer Moth figures. Here he is next to the Connects Shy Guy and Dry Bones figures. Here he is next to the Diamond Select Mini-Mates Mikey and Donatello. Here he is next to the Mega Construx Leo and April figures. Here he is next to Funko's Mystery Mini figures of Rose and Colleen. And here he is next to SH Figuarts Super Mario and Luigi Mario figures. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the sculpt and paint for this figure. This figure's pretty good for the size that it is. There is a lot of detail in this figure, and it's really neat. I was really impressed with Mega Construx when they were putting out their Ninja Turtles line, and I've seen in the stores a lot of their, I think it's Destiny, and I think they have some Halo figures too. I'm not sure. They all kind of blend in together, but nevertheless, from what I've seen, there's a lot of detail in these tiny 2-inch action figures, and He-Man is no exception. There is a bunch of detail here, and he looks great. The face is a little weird because it's so tiny of a figure, but the sculpt, as far as that's concerned, is there, and it's great. The paint is a little hit or miss. In fact, just looking at my figure, I couldn't really notice a lot of things, but then when going back and looking at some of the photos, I realized that there is some paint on his chest that's not quite right, on the power harness, I should say. You might not notice given that it's so small, but then if you zoom in and you have a camera that's you're trying to take these detailed shots, that's where some of the imperfections will come in. And so, your mileage may vary. And again, with these figures, it's kind of hard to tell from one figure to the other. So you're going to have to do a lot of comparing if you want to get a really good figure. And I think out of the ones that I saw way back when I got this figure, that this was the best one that I could find. And I'm pretty happy with it, all things considered. So let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation that you're going to get out of this figure. All right, so let's take a look at the articulation we're going to get out of this Mega Construx He-Man action figure. So let's start with the head. So his head is on a 360 rotation at the neck, so you get 360 rotation there. He can look up this far, and he can look down this far. And I apologize if this is pretty blurry. It's kind of hard to do this with such a tiny figure, but his arms will go up that far. He has 360 rotation at the shoulder. He also has 360 rotation at the elbow. And the wrist as well has 360 degrees rotation. So tons of movement in the arms. His legs can go out this far without popping off. Well, there you go. It just popped off. And then they can go back that far. He also has a single jointed knee, so it can go up pretty high. And then he can kick forward that far. Let's see. There you go. And he also has a swivel joint at the waist, kind of. Like you can get side to side. Mine feels like it might break if I push it any further. It's not 360, but you can get side to side movement there. And that's all the articulation it looks like you're going to get out of this He-Man action figure from Mega Construx.
I am a huge Masters of the Universe fan, and I can't think of any iteration of these characters that I have not collected. I had the Stactions, I had Princess of Power, I had the New Adventures and the Vintage line, and I've got a majority of the classics and stuff. So like I was in it to win it with almost every iteration of these figures and these characters. And so when this line was announced, I was excited about it, and I was happy that it was happening. And given that leading up to this, I had some exposure to Mega Construx via their Ninja Turtles line, which I love and hope that they continue. And I think they've shown that they are going to do that. But I was not sure that I needed a version of Masters in that scale until I saw them in store. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to just pick up one. I picked up Skeletor, and I got Skeletor home, and I'm like, okay, he's pretty rad, and I'll do a review on him later. But I was like, I don't know, I can't have Skeletor without He-Man. They go hand in hand. And so eventually I went back and got He-Man, and I'm super glad that I did. It's at a low price point, like $5 at the most, somewhere around $4 or $5. And for what you get, it's not bad. You get a display stand, and you get some cool accessories, and you get a cool figure that's 2 inches tall, doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's got great detail. The paint's a little lacking, but you know what? It's not the biggest problem because it's so small, so that the naked eye, you're not going to be able to tell on a shelf really any paint problems necessarily, but unless they're egregious. But chances are it's going to be so minor that you're only going to tell if you take a camera and you're zooming in on it. But having said that, I'm really excited about this line. I like this figure a lot, and I'm really glad that I got it, and I can't wait to see what Mattel and Mega Construx are going to do with this line of figures. And the thing I'm excited about the most is that, like, I don't know, I kind of geek out at the whole making a mold of a character and then using that with other parts and making a hodgepodge of a new character. And that's what Masters has done throughout its entire existence. And I'm really excited with this line because that's what it seems like you can do with this line. And like just with He-Man alone, they already have a very solid basis for characters like Faker, Mechanic, Fisto, and like Triclops. And in fact, I said Faker. In fact, I'm doing this review kind of late, so like they've already reviewed or shown the next 3 waves, I think. So we are getting a Faker, and we are getting, I think, an Evelyn, and there's someone else I can't remember. I think it's Man-at-Arms. I already got Beastman and Skeletor. I skipped on Tila because the paint was pretty bad, and now I can't find her, so that kind of sucks. But if you're a Masters fan, I would highly recommend getting these because I feel like that they're gonna slowly but surely keep making these into a line that's going to be robust and going to be really rad. And even if they don't, having just a few of these figures in this scale doesn't take up a lot of space, isn't very expensive at all, and it's a nice, neat little collection that you can have to go with different things. And one of my favorite things was putting it next to the Masters of the Universe Classics Castle Grayskull, just to see how massive that is in comparison, because in my head I always think of Grayskull as being huge. And so it was really neat getting to take some shots of the characters next to Grayskull, and that was really rad. And I can't wait to just have like a huge battle scene there and start taking pictures of that, and just so excited for what this line can be and for what it is already. Like I said, if it stops after He-Man and Skeletor, it's great because these two figures are fantastic, and I'm going to do a review on Skeletor coming up next, so be on the lookout for that. But as far as He-Man's concerned, highly recommend it. You won't go wrong. It's $5. Just go ahead and do it. And especially if you're a He-Man fan, if you like miniatures and just like small figures and stuff like that, I still recommend this figure because this figure's cool as hell. And He-Man's a badass, so there you go. You can't win, you can't lose, and you can't win against He-Man because he's the most powerful man and the most powerful toy in the universe. So there you go. So go out, get it, and be sure to check back here when I review Skeletor. So, all right, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more of me, please subscribe as well. And if you want to hear more from me, be sure to check the links below to my other podcast where we have Turtle Soup, where a friend and I talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles every other week. And then we have Daydream Nation, where some friends and I get together and we talk about a different record, usually every other week, but sometimes hit or miss. But at least once a month, we're going to talk about a different record. All right, well, thanks again so much for watching, and be sure to check back here often for more opening goodness right here on Easy Opens. Else time.